Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! That is exactly why your subconsciousness created me as a defense mechanism. Because I like things? Because you're a weak wimp with battered woman syndrome. Whoa, 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 whoa. That escalated quickly. Why are you calling me all these adjectives? Just because there were semi-decent scenes that lasted for like 5 minutes, you can't simply overlook the monstrosity that lasted for over an hour. Would you care to elaborate then? Fine. Let me go over what happened in this episode, but there's 2 things I want to discuss towards the end. As for you fine people, buckle up. We're going for a tempestiful, whatever. We're going for a rough ride. This video is sponsored by nobody, so subscribe. The episode opens with the world's most simple-minded foreshadowing. The Queen's dreaming of Numenor being destroyed by the Great Wave.
Tactical nuke incoming!
Out in the streets of Numenor, the guy who got beat up is spreading misinformation about the immigration of elves. They're taking our jobs. Workers who don't tire a rage. Absolutely and definitely not referencing anything from our political landscape. A masterclass of subtle messaging woven into the story. But Pharazôn comes in to defuse the situation by saying, "Y'all afraid of just one elf?" And to be fair, he kinda made sense to me. But also, this part was quite confusing. The man made a valid point, but the show kept cutting back to Isildur's sister whom I can't and won't bother to remember her name. Was her face trying to show agreement or disagreement? I don't get it. Who is the show siding with? The nationalist? Or the female character who I bet is gonna be open-minded and tolerant? I think I just answered myself. Then we transition to no one's favorite Merisu trying to convince the strong queen to fight together against Sauron. Just admit it. You don't like seeing women in lead roles. Didn't I say that there's 2 things I want to discuss towards the end? Shut your mouth. Don't interrupt me again. But Galadriel demands to speak to the real manager of this kingdom because it turns out the Queen Regent is just customer service. Then we have an Oscar-worthy delivery of the best line in TV history.
There's a tempest in me.
But the Queen was like,
Petulant child! I will tolerate your insolence no more!
Then she throws her ass in jail. Out in the sea that is always right, Isildur keeps getting called by something or someone. Now, I'm not gonna criticize this, but the ring hasn't been made yet, so they better have some good explanation of who's making these calls. Anyway, he fucks up the sale, then he gets fired along with his 2 mates because we need that pseudo-conflict. Back in the Southlands, it turns out that Adar is an elf Benjen Stark. So he decides to not kill Arondir, rather he tells him to go back and deliver a message to the Southerners. Join me or die. Speaking of which, the single mom is the boss in the watchtower because girls get it done, of course. The people are short on food, so her son, Discount Smeagol, who has the sword of Sauron, volunteers to go to that village that is full of orcs to get some food. So he goes to the village, he finds some food, the orcs find him, he uses the sword. Now the orcs know about the sword. God damn it. Why does it take forever for these things to happen? But wouldn't you know it, Arondir saves him. The guy who was a captive a few minutes ago, now he has all his weapons. Now the orcs are hunting them. The orcs are hunting the guy who was deliberately let go to deliver the message. But don't worry, the plot armor is off the charts. Oh. And out of the blue, the single mom boss finds them and the orcs suddenly stop because they're vampires. Also, they're about as accurate as your average stormtrooper. As far as I know, the orcs were bothered by the sun, but they weren't allergic to the sun. I mean, the Battle of Minas Tirith and the Charge at the Black Gate were both in daylight. For those who read the books, please let me know in the comments if this is true or not. On a totally irrelevant subject, Elrond is back in Dwarvsville, which is the tolerable aspect of this shit show, to uncover the secret that shouldn't be a secret in the first place. Mithril. Remember Mithril from the Better movie? Remember how it's gonna be the dwarves' downfall because they're gonna dig up a Balrog? Yeah, I do. That was a rhetorical question. Plus, it's only gonna remind you how good was the Jackson trilogy in comparison to this piece of bull feces. Anyway, Elrond opens the mind using a chant sang by the kids. And it reminded me of this scene.
That's a Peter Panda dance.
Now I'm gonna fast forward because there's a lot of pointless stuff. Like, have you ever wondered how Durin mines quartz? Or how Disa cooks the stew? Me neither. But the bottom line is that Durin and his father Durin are fighting over something we never saw or heard. But I gotta admit, the scene was a decent father-son moment, but the whole point of this was to tell us that Gil-galad is up to something. And finally, now, I skipped over these events for a reason that I'll explain shortly. Galadriel is thrown in jail next to Halbrand, and he tells her to calm the fuck down for a moment and stop talking to people like a Karen. Hold on a second. Is this show trying to have her mentored by a man? Are they trying to give her a character arc? Is this the word I'm looking for? Anyhow, Farazan shows up with 4 fully armed and fully armored guards that are gonna take her to the ship to fuck off. But she locks up the extremely cooperative guards in a scene that would make Steven Seagal proud. I mean, fucking really? Let's say she's physically capable of doing this. Is this the best choreography you can come up with? Is this what $1 billion buys? Anyone who's willing to defend this, are you gonna say, oh look, she used the technique of stuntman, please step aside, we've got a scene to do. This is embarrassing even in a show that cost like $5. You see how far these people are willing to go just to push their feminist agenda? Ah, fuck that, I'm losing my balls in here. Then she smirks at the coward nationalist and goes to meet the real manager. As it turns out, the real manager's a vegetable, and Galadriel speaks to the queen nicely. Is the world gonna end or something? Is the apocalypse upon us? But never mind, because her character arc is the same as Captain Marvel. She realized she's always right and she's awesome. So the queen gives her what she wants because some leaves fell. And the episode ends with Isildur and his buddies joining the army of the strong queen and Galadriel. Now let's discuss the good things before I spread my cheeks and unload. Well, technically, your cheeks. The best thing about this episode is there's no harfucks, which is a big fucking plus if you ask me. The CGI is top notch as usual, and the dwarves are the only ones who act and talk like normal characters. Even Disa, she's actually fine. I thought she'll be much more of a pain in the ass, but actually no. Just forget everything she said before the show came out. It actually gave a very bad impression. And honestly, both Durins are good. Now I'm gonna discuss the 2 things I mentioned. Like I said before, the show is really boring. This episode was the most eventful and the plot is finally moving, which is a good thing. But that doesn't mean it's headed in the right direction. The scenes just drag way too long, as if the showrunners are trying to fill up screen time. You know, let's take a look at the key moments and revelations in this episode. So, we saw Adar. The orcs know about the sword, Galadriel got what she wanted, the elves are up to something, and the dwarves find Mithril. How does this justify the runtime of 1 hour and 6 minutes? The plot is really bloated with nonsense. I have no idea how will this go on for 5 seasons. We're halfway through the first season and the plot barely moved. I swear you could condense these 4 hours to 1 hour and a half and nothing would change. Just to give you an idea of how much you can put in 4 hours of screen time, the extended cut of Fellowship is a bit under 4 hours. But in this shit show, we have to spend time at every fucking thing. There's no sense of urgency, no suspense or intrigue, and the show's trying to come up with contrived mysteries that don't even qualify to be a kid's puzzle. The second thing that I wanted to discuss was the main character. God damn it, she's without a doubt the most unlikable character I've ever seen. She's a smug, entitled, condescending bitch. And honestly, I feel bad for the actress. She's the victim of horrible writing. I've never seen her anywhere else, but her acting is really monotone. She could be a fine actress, I don't know, but in this role, she doesn't fit one bit. I said in a previous video that the casting was, and still is, terrible across the board, but she has to be the ultimate miscast. Playing an iconic character badly will be a bad point in her resume. But again, 99% falls on the shit script she was handed. Making your character a perfect, righteous, invincible, and arrogant bitch is not a good character at all. The whole Captain Marvel arc where characters only realize they're awesome, it didn't work before, it's not gonna work here either. Not even Star Wars can make that archetype likable. Making your character breeze through every fucking challenge doesn't make them strong. The same way if having a handful of good scenes in half a season doesn't make your show good. I swear you're gonna be my undoing. You and your dumb as fuck opinions. Wipe your ass and get the fuck out of here. Oh, don't talk to me like that. I'm gonna... Shut up, you ain't gonna do shit. What do you know? You're just a schizophrenic taking a shit who occasionally snaps. And that snap is me. Peace.